In the book, author and MP for Aru County, Otto, takes a critical look at his fellow colleagues in Parliament and analyzing their behavior. His conclusion is the institution of Parliament is a center of corruption.
We have personally been involved in getting bribes during the Chogam. I raised an issue that members of Parliament were receiving bribes. I mentioned their names. Instead, I was dragged to a disciplinary committee. So I go ahead to criticize the institution I work for, to say much as we should fight corruption, some of us, our hands are not clean. And I think I am the happiest man ever today. Today, if people can line up before Parliament and explain themselves on Chogam report, someone should apologize to me. Because I was taken to disciplinary committee, I was almost suspended.
His frustrations are well played out in his choice of language. Otto describes himself in the book as a female dog without teeth, and goes further to state that the situation in the August House can be likened to a situation where, I quote, "Man eateth where he worketh, and worketh most where he eateth," end of quote. The author uses analogy in his book, but sometimes quoting events of the past. He raises queries about how lawmakers in the 7th Parliament allegedly received 5 million shillings each to lift term limits for the presidency.
Now, in this book, I go ahead to analyze one MP, Beatrice Biencha, having realized that the 5 million shillings was for Kisanja, she returned the money. But she was ordered not to comment about it in public. I think these MPs whose names appear here have done this country a very big disservice, and Ugandans should hold them personally accountable when this country breaks down.
The book reads in part, they were making a cobweb law, a law that grabs only the insects. The birds pass freely through the webs. He goes on to write that this was the final nail on the coffin for those who accepted the 5 million shillings bribe, thinking they would vote secretly against the amendments.
I even have ministers in government who came to me that we should insist on secret ballot. They are going to vote against the term limits. On the day of voting, he was seated on TV in Nakasero watching until he counted the number of votes he wanted before he jubilated that he has got it. And all those inconceivable details are in this book.
Otto also highlights in his book the rigors of becoming a minister in Uganda today. He writes that, I quote, "The expectations of becoming a minister has turned Parliament into a theatre or concert show. That some have died due to frustration after the long list was declared and they were not on the list," end quote. The book highlights how members of Parliament have allegedly been conned after offering huge sums of money to buy their way to cabinet but failed. In the book that is likely to raise a storm, Otto recommends that there may be need to amend the law to expressively provide for another institution to oversee Parliament and not Parliament being an end to itself.
In fact, he says, who should watch the watchdog? Who should watch the watchman? We members of Parliament should ensure there is no corruption in this country.